Hey guys, this is end of video Erica popping in. I just wanted to make a small comment before we get started because you're gonna see clips from throughout my time reading the book. This is actually going to be a video that has some spoilers in it. It will be spoilers only for the first book in the Throne of Glass series, The Assassin's Blade. I know there's some debate that you can also read this, I think maybe third or fourth or something, but chronologically it's the first book. It's the novellas in Throne of Glass. So if you haven't read it and you don't want spoilers, then unfortunately you should probably turn this video off. But then what you're gonna do is you're gonna go and read this book, and then you're gonna come right back here so that you can watch the video. So without further ado, I'm going to now show you my journey through this first book, and then you'll see me in just a few minutes looking like this at the end with my final thoughts. Hi, welcome back to my channel. I'm glad that you could join me here today. It is kind of a gloomy day where I am, and winter is still rearing its very angry head. It's very cold here today, so I'm hiding inside. I was being a little bit productive this morning. I got a lot done. I got up at like 5 a.m., which is about an hour earlier than normal, and I just got going. I'm sorry I don't have any coffee to show you. I finished my coffee a couple hours ago. But yeah, thanks so much for stopping by. Please remember to like this video and subscribe to my channel. As you could probably tell by the title of this video, today we're going to be talking about an author and a series that is wildly popular. Like, I can't go anywhere that has anything to do with books, even like the real world or online, like anywhere that has to do with books, this author's books are in my face. So I've never read anything from this author. I'm of course referring to Sarah J Maas. I have to admit, I don't know if I'm pronouncing her name correctly because I've heard people pronounce her last name differently. But her Throne of Glass series has interested me, and especially it seems, like I said, the books are just everywhere right now. So I was so curious. I decided to go through them and see if they're actually a good series, if it's just another case of, you know, the hype outdoing the quality. So what I'm gonna start reading first, like, I have never read one word from this author in any book. I'm gonna start on The Assassin's Blade. I know this is a book of several novellas from the Throne of Glass series. I know that it wasn't formally published first, but I'm gonna read chronological order. So from what I understand, this one should be first chronologically. I haven't started it yet. What I wanted to do was a vlog for this one. And now also understand, as you can see, I bought the set. So like, I am committed. If this thing is awful, I'm still reading the series. Because I have heard some people say that you have to get like a couple of books in and then it gets really good. So I'm prepared to invest some time and hope that it's going to be a really awesome series. I love fantasy, and I think this will be a nice read. I haven't done fantasy in a few months. I've been sticking mostly to mystery and like some, I don't know, I wouldn't call them comedy, just like more lighthearted kind of adventure books for most of last year. Now I'm back into like heavier like mystery horror that I've been doing. So I think it's a good opportunity to get some fantasy in, especially, you know, since I haven't read any in a while. I think I'm gonna be going into it with an even more positive outlook, maybe, like more willing to accept whatever this author is going to give to me. I'm excited for a new fantasy series. I think I'm going to so this video is just going to be for the first book. This little guy right here, The Assassin's Blade. This video is going to be just about this book, because I'm not entirely sure when I'm going to read Throne of Glass, the next book. I'll probably do a book or two. I don't really like to read a bunch of books in a series back to back to back. I like to break it up with like a book or two between the series books. So I will read this one, and then, I don't know, maybe in a few weeks, or a couple weeks, I don't even know, I'll read a book or two in between and then start on the second one. So I'm going to try to update at like the 25% mark, 50% mark, 75% mark, and then I'll have some final thoughts at the end of this video. So I'm hoping it's going to be really enjoyable. I love that it's about a woman that's an assassin. Like, I love that. There's way too much fantasy that, like, look, don't get me wrong. I don't mind reading fantasy that revolve around men, like center men, but I'm really interested to read a series that centers around a woman. I think that'll be just a nice change up. So I will check in with you guys when I hit approximately the 25% mark and let you know what my thoughts are so far. All right. Hello, good morning. It is, what is it? 7:15. I've been up for a little while. I was finishing the first book in The Assassin's Blade. It's The Assassin and the Pirate Lord. I figured what I would do once I got into this and I realized, look, there's 5 novellas. It makes more sense to just give my thoughts after I finish each one. So I finished the first one. Overall, I really enjoy it. I don't know if this is representative of like all of the author's writing, but I really liked this so far. As far as the pacing is good, the story is interesting. I thought the writing has been a little bit clunky at times, but I'm hoping maybe it's like she's getting comfortable, the author's getting comfortable maybe with writing this character in this world. Several times in the story, and it's not a very long story, she had characters say the full name of other characters while they're talking to that person. It always feels really clunky, unnatural. Oh my god, my hair looks crazy. I haven't like showered or anything yet because it's like 7:15. So anyway, so the writing is just a little clunky, but I'm willing to forgive it. I mean, the story has been good. Like I said, the pacing was good. I thought just this little novella, the first one is like 77 pages. I think it did a good job introducing some of what I assume are going to be the main characters. Okay, first of all, I need to stop saying she. I need to address her name. What the fuck is her name? It is spelled... Well, I'll put it up here, how it's spelled, okay? How do you pronounce this? Every time my brain sees it, I hate when authors do this and pick a weird spelling that's like ambiguous for a name, because every time I get to the name, which is a lot so far in this story, my brain stops and takes me out of the story. We have a little debate about how we're supposed to pronounce the main character's name. Is it Selena? Is it Selena? Is it Kalena? Is it Kalina? I don't know. Any of the above, all of the above. I've tried to tell myself, it's not sticking yet, but it's getting better. I've tried to tell myself that it's supposed to be Selena. I don't know if that's right. I guess I'm kind of scared to look it up because I don't want spoilers for the story. But I guess once I'm done with this first book, I'll try to look it up and see if somebody can tell me how this character's name is pronounced, because there's like the head of the Assassin's Guild is also another name where I've just had to kind of like decide how it's pronounced, and it's probably pronounced Arabin or something, but in my mind I've decided I'm calling him A Robin. I don't know, that's just where we're at. It's some of these names, I'm kind of hoping they get better as we go. Every fantasy author, I think, at some point feels the need to put in just some names that like really disrupt the reading flow. But again, I'm willing to overlook that because it has been an enjoyable story. But anyway, what I was going to say, Selena, that's what I've settled on, right? Selena. She goes on a job with, because she's an assassin, she's part of the Assassin's Guild. She goes on a job with another assassin in her guild. But it sounds like there's an Assassin's Guild in this country. She's like, within the guild, there's different groups of assassins. Like they're all under a mentor, like different mentors. That's kind of what I'm understanding at this point. So she's under A Robin as the mentor. I'll have to look his name up too. I don't want to sound like an asshole mispronouncing all these names. So it sounds like she is under him, and her little group under A Robin, I'm gonna laugh now every time I say it out loud, is like small. So she goes with her fellow assassin in her little guild group, Sam. They go on a job to deal with the pirate lord, which I thought it was so appropriate because I'm almost done with a story about pirates, and I have to see, well, I shouldn't say a story, history of Caribbean pirates. And I actually loved this because so much of what was described in this book with these pirates, they're down in, what are they in? I think it was the Skull Island, Skulls Bay, I think is what it was. Reminded me so much of Nassau during Nassau, Bahamas during the peak Caribbean pirates heyday back in the 1700s. So I thought that was it was fun to see. I mean, fun in, you know, as much fun as pirates can be. I mean, these guys are doing a slave trade, so like not that fun. I was able to suspend my disbelief enough. I'm giving this author a lot of leeway, and so I suspended my disbelief a lot with a lot of things, but I really enjoyed the first story. One thing though that I'm hoping maybe this author will stop hitting on so much as the stories and the books go on is Selena's age, and the fact that she's like apparently the greatest assassin in the world. This girl is 16. Like, she's 16 and she's supposed to be the greatest assassin in the world, and she's super renowned, and like everybody knows her and her reputation and tons of experience, and like she's 16. I don't know that any 16-year-old can be the greatest in the world at anything that takes skill, like significant skill, unless you're like Mozart. That's maybe the only like teenager I can think of who is like the best in the world. But he's like a historical anomaly. I don't know. Let me know if there's other 16-year-olds that are the greatest in the world at something that takes a significant amount of skill. But again, if she would stop harping on Selena's age and just like let the story go, I can get over that too. I can get over a lot of things. I don't know why this author didn't just make her like, I don't know, 22? Even 22 I could have bought in that she's like the world's greatest assassin. But 16? 16. And like everybody knows who she is. Or I mean, they know her name. Apparently she doesn't like show her face almost ever. So, but apparently everybody's heard of her far and wide, all over the continent. And she's 16. Okay. Okay. I also kind of found Selena unlikable. I don't know if I'm supposed to. It's hard to tell if the author is writing Selena in a way that's supposed to make you kind of initially dislike her with like her teenage arrogance, or if she's writing this character this way because she thinks that it makes the character look like strong and cool and all of these things. I don't know yet. I need more of an impression. We'll see if time goes on. I also don't know if because this is the prequel, I don't know how far in advance this is the prequel. So like when Throne of Glass, the first actual novel, picks up, I don't know how far down the road it picks up. Like, is it going to pick up right away? Is Selena still going to be like a teenager? I'm kind of hoping that it jumps ahead to when she's an adult, because I'll be able to buy more in to the things that are going on. Really good escapist fantasy. Also, I have to say, just starting out, know nothing about these series. Selena and Sam. I could be way off base, and maybe he'll die in like the next story. Or the first book. I have no idea. But I feel like they're either going to be frenemies to lovers, frenemies to enemies, or frenemies to lovers to enemies, or frenemies to enemies to lovers. I think I covered it all. Basically what I'm saying is I think the relationship is going to change. I think it's going to become more significant. At least that's kind of the foreshadowing that I got just from this story. They clearly have some chemistry in this first story with the Pirate Lord. Well, I'll be interested to see if the author does anything with that. I think that she will. I think it's been set up to imply that they're going to have a more significant relationship in the future. We'll see. I do like Sam so far, and he's got a name where I didn't have to debate on like how to pronounce it. It's just Sam. It was easy. So those are my thoughts. I just honestly, I've been sitting and thinking about this. Like I didn't finish it all in one sitting, and I put it down at maybe like the 30-page point, because it's the first story is 77 pages. And man, after I put it down, I couldn't stop thinking about it. So I do really like it so far. I thought about it until like I could start reading it again. And so I don't know, that's an indicator to me that I hope I'm really gonna like this book. The things that this author is doing well, she's doing really well. I'm hoping to get through a significant chunk of the rest of the book today, and I think the next story is pretty short. I think it's maybe only like 40 pages. So I will check in after I finish the next little story, which is The Assassin and the Healer, and I'll let you know my thoughts after I finish that one. Okay, I'm back. I ran some errands, I had some lunch, so I'm not hangry. I went and finished the next story in, of course, The Assassin's Blade. So this one was The Assassin and the Healer, where Selena is in this tiny little village, and she's staying at like this shitty inn, and there's a young woman who works there that Selena ends up like saving from being attacked by these dudes in an alley, teaches this girl how to defend herself. This girl ends up treating a wound that Selena has, and ends up sharing that She comes from a line of healers, and her goal is to go to a place that I will never pronounce correctly. The Sesme sounds like some Twilight shit. I don't know. Anyway, it's like a school for healers to learn how to like do their craft. And that was this young girl. Her name was Irene. I think it's Irene, unless it's pronounced Wyrene, but God, I hope not. I'm pretty sure it's just Irene. That was her goal before she came to this crappy village, but she apparently just doesn't have the money to go travel to the city where the healing school is and then pay to enroll there. Anyway, so these two have like somewhat of a connection. And Selena, so, God, see, I'm telling you, I need an answer on this main character's name, but Selena ends up leaving her quite a bit of gold and a really valuable brooch that she had in order to send Irene. Well, I guess she just leaves it and is basically like, you know, do what you will with this, but hopefully you can go and become a healer. So it sounds like at the end of the story, it's a little bit ambiguous, but it does sound like Irene is leaving now that she's got the gold to go and become a healer. This was a super short story. This was like a 40-page story. It picked up really soon after the Pirate Lord story ended. So it was, I'm curious if the point of this story was to further, I don't know, my guess at this point, since I'm just speculating. I know very little about the main character at this point. My guess would be it was an additional example of showing her ability to empathize. Because in the first story with the Pirate Lord, she ends up freeing 2 slave ships. So I think it was about 200 slaves that she ended up freeing to her own risk and detriment, which we find out in this story. It picks up right away. She's been beaten severely by her the head of her guild, A Robin, and that's how I know. I mean, we know that this picked up pretty quickly because apparently she's still all bruised up from the beating that she got when I guess she got back home, and A Robin found out that she like ruined the slave trade deal, and he was pretty mad about it. So we also learned apparently A Robin has no problem being violent with his subordinates. So I'm hoping that we get to see more. Like, we saw one scene with Selena and A Robin, and that was like the very start of the first story. I would like to see more, to see what their dynamic is and get a better handle on his personality. But anyway, so we saw Selena's ability to empathize and self-sacrifice in the first story when she freed the slave ships. And then we just saw her ability to empathize again, where she, she saved this girl. She could have just kept this gold for herself. She could have just left the city and gone on to continue the mission that she's on right now, but instead, she teaches this other young woman how to defend herself, and she leaves her some valuables so that this girl can go on and try to get to the healing school to fulfill what they believe is like what she's supposed to be doing. So I thought that was interesting, and it's such a stark contrast too, because the main character Selena also seems to have like not only having no problem with killing people, because like, I mean, I'm at like what 116 pages, and she's already taken out like a ton of people. She not only has no problem with it, she seems like unhealthily pleased at the idea of hurting people, and yet she's got the ability to empathize. So I don't know, it'll be interesting to see how this character develops, because it's very much like it's really contradictory in the same way that I view like so many superheroes. So it's an interesting like contrast. I am curious to see, because she's so young, this book does confirm she's like a couple of weeks away from turning 17. I'm really hoping the author is going to age her up so that I can see like how she does actually develop, because again right now she is so, at this point, Selena is so unbelievably like overconfident, to the point of being like obnoxiously cocky, and I'm like, you're literally 16, and I just, this is, I don't know. She's still kind of irritating at this point. I hope that this is just part of like her character development, and that she doesn't stay like this for the whole series, because I don't really like her like this. It's interesting because I mean, you don't always have to like every character, like every main character. Not every main character has to be likable. It's not always the point. It's just I'm still in this place where I can't tell if this main character being unlikable is intentional from the author, or if it's just I am having a personal problem with this character. I don't know. So I'm hoping it changes. I'm hoping this is part of the character development. I guess we'll see. I do also, I'm kind of hoping that we will see Irene again. You know, it sounds like she has gone off to the school to learn how, formally learn how to be a healer. And this was a pretty significant event, and I'm kind of hoping that maybe in a future book we're gonna see this character come back in some capacity. I'm curious if that's what all of these little novellas are, is just foreshadowing for what's gonna happen with different characters later in the series, but obviously I have no idea. So the next, and it does it seems like, at least my impression right now, all of the novellas in here, my guess is that they're gonna just follow boom 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 timeline wise, because like the first one, Selena was in like dealing with the pirates, and then this one seems to be, I don't know, maybe a month after we left her in the pirate town, because she's it took her a couple of weeks to get back to a Robin, and then presumably he beat her like right away, and then she's still got like some bruising from that, but she is currently traveling. So my guess is that it's probably like a month after we just left her, and right now she's on her way. I'm looking at the very helpful little map that they put in here. I believe that she's traveling to the Red Desert right now to meet with I think it's the Silent Assassins. And wouldn't you know it, the next story is called The Assassin in the Desert. My guess is the next story is going to pick up like, if not immediately after we just left her, then like very shortly would be my guess. So yeah, as I'm still really liking this book though, like I want to get through at least this next one today, although this one is a longer, this next one coming up is going to be a longer novella. I think this one is This next one's about 100 pages, which I anticipate, well, I guess I might have something that I need to do in a little bit, but my goal is to finish that this evening. And then I'll give my thoughts on that one. But I am still really liking it. I would want to know more about this world and about this character. So I would say so far, this author is doing an awesome job. I did find the writing in this second novella to be a lot better than the first one. So I'll have to look more, like after I'm done with the series, because I really don't want to spoil myself, but I'm curious if she wrote all of these at the same time or in quick succession, because this second one, definitely the writing felt better than the first. So that is where I'm at. Gonna try to finish the third novella shortly here. I'm gonna start on it in just a few minutes, and then we'll meet back here with my thoughts on the third one. Okay, I'm actually right back. Like, I just sat back down after I just turned off my camera the first time, because I had one other thought that I forgot to mention. So Selena, we're not really sure yet what her origin story is for being an assassin. It's kind of implied that she had some kind of choice about it when she was like 8, but like, how much of a choice do you have when you're in like, I don't know, a war-torn or violent situation, which it sounds like she came from, and you're 8 years old? Like, how much of a choice do you really have? But anyway, it kind of sounds like she had a choice about becoming an assassin, but there was a really interesting couple of sentences on page like 104 of this. And it kind of, it mentioned that when Selena was young, which sounds like before she made the choice to become an assassin, that she dreamed of going to the healing school. So I'm curious if that means that she comes from like a line of healers, or what her life was like before she got taken into the guild. The Assassin's Guild. I hope that we learn more about that, because I thought it was an interesting little point to make that was just, it was super brief. It was like a sentence or two. So yeah, I'll be interested to know if that's like another reason why she really was able to identify with this this young tavern girl. It'll be interesting to know. Like I said, I am super curious to know more about this main character. This author's done a pretty good job at like leaving little breadcrumbs around, and I really want more to be revealed. I'm excited to learn more. So I am going to go get started on the third novella, and I'll be back. All right, so just a little bit ago, I finished the third novella in this book, The Assassin's Blade, which I don't know why I'm holding it up, because like you just saw it because of the editing. So I just finished the third story in this book. It was The Assassin and the Desert. As the name implies, Selena ends up going into the desert to spend a month with the Silent Assassins group. I definitely thought this was the best story so far out of the 3 that I've read. It allowed for a lot more character development with the author's writing and just the plot line of this short story. I really like that with each short story, we've been introduced to some significant people that are, I guess I should say, they seem to have like a significant impact on the main character. I don't know if we're ever gonna, I assume we're gonna see Sam again. Sorry, my hair's doing some weird stuff. Anyway, I assume we're gonna see Sam again. He was in the first story, of course, with the pirates. I'm unsure if we're gonna see the girl from the second story, which I feel off. Was it Irene? Irene? It was something with a Y, right? Irene. And then the friend from this third story, Ansel, This one definitely seems like we should encounter her again. If we don't, like, missed opportunity, because, you know, Selena goes into the desert for the silent assassins. Her master sent her there as part of, like, her punishment for freeing the slaves, which this story does confirm the timeline that I speculated on with the second story is accurate. As far, like, because it does sound like this story picks up about a month after she freed the slaves down with the pirates. So she gets to the desert. Most of the assassins there are silent. They're all, like, training, and she notices it's a lot friendlier than her little guild group of assassins where she is. So it does sound like even though there's, like, assassin guilds in different places, it seems like they're independently run, because there's, like, the silent master in the desert, and he seems to have, like, total control over the assassin stuff in his region. It sounds like Selena's master kind of thinks of himself as, like, the king of all the assassins, but that the other masters don't see it that way. So I really want to see more of this A-Robin guy, because, like, he sounds like an asshole. I mean, just, I don't know. I gotta see, like, is his reputation so far. I mean, he did beat Selena pretty badly for disobeying his orders, and, you know, she's like an indentured servant to him. So on the surface, he's into the slave trade for all, like, what we see, unless there was some kind of ulterior motive with that, but that hasn't been like, suggested or anything at this point. That's just pure speculation on my part, just because I know good tactic is to mislead your audience. So maybe A-Rob is actually a cool dude, and everything that, you know, like Snape, maybe it's just like, sorry, spoilers maybe for Snape, but you know, maybe he's just misunderstood A-Robin. I don't know. Hopefully, I'm sure we're going to see more of him. But yeah, this story I thought was really good. It showed a lot of character development. Selena seems to have been kind of knocked down a couple of notches with her punishment, and feeling like ostracized, at which, I mean, that's probably the nicest way I could put it. She's been sent away to train, and basically if she doesn't get this letter of recommendation from the master in the desert after, like, a month, then she's gonna be in real big trouble. So considering what her master is capable of, I don't think it's just gonna be getting sent to bed without dinner. So but yeah, we get to see her a month in the desert, and it's interesting. She indicates she's never really had friends, and of course, like, the attitude of the assassins in her own guild is a lot less friendly than what she experiences with the silent assassins. So she kind of gets her first time with peers that, like, are mostly friendly, that she doesn't have to think are trying to, like, sabotage her or undermine her, like, her first taste of, like, real friendship. So it's interesting to see her do that. She was definitely a lot more likable and humbled in this story. I know I mentioned, like, before, just her out of control arrogant, like, look, it's good to be self-confident, but, like, she's too much. She's way too much. But this one, by the end, she seemed to be considering that maybe she is not infallible. And of course, that's what makes, I mean, that makes for such an interesting character. All right, I'm back. My cat was getting a little rowdy because it's close to our mealtime, so I had to distract her with some toys in the other room. So I'm back, and I don't remember where I was. I think what I was saying is that Selena, after her experience here and realizing that she wasn't able to recognize the insincerity of Ansel, that you know, she still has a lot to learn, and that I think that she's realizing there's a lot more to her enjoyment of the world, or how she experiences things, than just her like obsession with what seems to be, she's previously, prior to going to the desert, even at the start of this story, she mentions like her inner monologue repeatedly, all of the like clothes and jewelry and makeup and like all of these expensive things that she buys, and she seems to have recognized that maybe there's more to life than that. I mean, those things are nice, don't get me wrong, but like, she has no friends. Maybe Sam is kind of a friend, and she also seems like she's maybe starting to admit that she has some romantic feelings for Sam in this story. I guess I again would need to know more about their relationship to know if they could even be considered friends at this point, but she's got all these things, but like, she literally has no support system. So and she's you know, she's a teenager. Like, that is an incredibly difficult life to live. So I'm interested to see where we're going to go next, because now she's at the end of her training time in the desert. She's you know, she saved the master. Ansel double-crossed everybody, and allowed like an attack on the assassin keep, I guess you would call it, the desert assassins group. She facilitated that, and she was about to kill the master, and of course Selena stopped her. But Selena let her go, and so that's why I'm really, really hoping at some point we get to see this character again. Because right now, Ansel seems incredibly conflicted. Like, she did this evil thing with facilitating, like aiding an attack on the silent assassins in order to get the means to go back and kind of liberate, I guess, her homeland. Which, it's a case of like, do the ends really justify the means here? Like, you're doing something that's pretty evil in order to do something that is justified. So like, I'm gonna say no, because I don't know, do assassins deserve to die? I guess that's too. I would need to know more exactly about like what the assassins in this universe do. Like, who do they go after? Are they going after like the Hitlers of the world, or are they just like assassins for hire, and you want somebody taken out, you go to the guild, and they, you know, just random you know, Bob at the grocery store gives me the stink eye and I don't like him, let me go to the guild and get somebody to take care of him. Because like, that's not cool. Then I would kind of argue, I mean, I would argue that these assassins are like inherently evil. But I think maybe that's too deep of a conversation about this for for right now. I don't have enough information yet to know if I should even be like thinking that in that direction with it. I need to know more about what the, like, who these assassins go after, you know, different tactics, and like their philosophy, I guess, in general, I would want to know more about. But yeah, Ansel, like, clearly, she also has selfish motivations, right? I mean, she witnessed the dude that took over her homeland. Like, she witnessed him kill her family and like take her home. So there's obviously a lot of vengeance there as a motivator for her. Not purely like just a righteous, I want to free my people, but like she wants revenge. Which, is that inherently evil? I don't know, man. I'm not a philosophy professional. So I guess, again, I'll need to know more as we go through this universe. People are rarely all good or all evil, and I think Ansel definitely falls in shades of gray. Now, with this particular situation, she facilitated something that was if these people were her friends, and like Mikhail, he obviously he seemed to love her, and she apparently just like took him out without a second thought. Which is so interesting that she was willing to do that, but that she tried to give Selena like an out so that she wouldn't be hurt in the attack. I thought that was weird. I don't know. I thought that was really interesting. Obviously, she knew Mikhail a lot better. Tells me that she was using him the whole time and really had no feelings for him, which tells me that she's got a lot of problems, because like she's been leading this dude on for like 3 years, like, apparently manipulating him with his grand scheme. I don't know. I've kind of convinced myself. I kind of think Ansel is evil. I don't even know that she does have like ends that she thinks can justify the means. I don't know. We'll see. I'll try to reserve judgment on her. I don't know. Selena's headed home now, so I don't know if we're gonna get another stop on the journey or what. I know that the next story is it's the assassin in the underworld. Is that the underworld like Hades, or is that the underworld like, I don't know, the black market? I don't know. I guess we'll see. This one I am like, this has actually been going really fast when I've been reading. I think the author is definitely, the writing style is better as this goes on. That's why I'm more and more curious, like, how far apart these stories were actually written, because I can notice the improvement in the writing and the storytelling. So we'll see. I'm not prepared to Google it though right now and give myself any spoilers. So I'm gonna hold off on that. But yeah, that's my thoughts for the moment on book 3. I'll check in after I've gotten through the 4th one. Okay, I'm back. Good morning. Is it even a YouTube book video if one does not have a coffee beverage in it? This is my first coffee beverage in a video about books, so what can I say? It's early right now. What time is it? 7 o'clock. I've been up for a while. I have finished the 4th story in The Assassin's Blade. It was The Assassin in the Underworld. Fun fact, the Underworld doesn't seem to be either of the things I speculated, which was like the Hades Underworld or like a crime underworld. It actually, I think it's the literal underworld, meaning sewage system. But I assume they felt like calling it The Assassin in the Underworld was like classier than calling it The Assassin and the Raw Sewage. So yeah, she spent a lot of time in the sewers in this book. That was pretty gross. She bathed like 8 times afterwards, and like, I don't blame her. I'm the person who's like just dump an entire bottle of Purell all over me if I got caught in a sewer like that. I don't know that there would be enough antiseptic in the world for me to be mentally okay after that. Anyway, this fourth story was by far like the best one so far. Um a lot of character development in this one. We got to see a lot of A Robin in this one. So, like in this story, she gets home from the silent assassins in the desert and encounters A Robin again for the first time since, you know, he severely beat her and sent her away. And she ends up getting set up for this job that she thinks is going to be to, in the long run, like put an end to slavery, but she's been bamboozled. So, I think I said before in like the last book maybe, or before that. Anyway, I've been wanting to see more of this A Robin guy because I couldn't get a good handle on him. I am pretty solidly in the camp of A Robin is just a really bad person. He is incredibly manipulative. He's obviously very violent. He seems to be pro-slavery at this point because now we got like this second mission where Selena thought that she was going to be taking out someone who wanted to sabotage like an underground railroad system to help slaves get to freedom. That's what A. Robin told her. But that did not end up that way. Turns out this creep A. Robin lied. I mean, who would have seen that coming? Who would have ever thought that this like terrible dude would lie about anything to her? So it turns out she actually took out the guy she took out was actually trying to establish an underground railroad system to help free slaves. So she maybe should have considered. It's hard because like A. Robin lied to her and like it's this whole thing. It was kind of the final nail in the coffin for her to accept that like A. Robin does not have her best interests at heart. It was it was frustrating and understandable though to read this because like as soon as she gets back to the keep and like goes to deal with A. Robin, it was so apparent that he was being manipulative. He was doing like the classic abuser thing because, you know, he severely hurt her and then sent her away. Like, be gone from me after I have severely hurt you and I punish you and you are not worthy and all these things. And now she's back and he's like love bombing. And I'm like, I get why she didn't see it for what it was. She just went along with it. I mean, she's 17. She's been like groomed by and abused by this guy for like almost 10 years now. You know, she's in an abusive relationship with him. So like they're in the abuse cycle. So like I get intellectually why she just went along with trying to like enjoy being back in his good graces. Like I totally get you know, cycle of abuse and all of that. But like if I remove that knowledge just objectively, like it's so frustrating to watch someone like read someone engaging with this really awful person that is manipulating them and they're just like going along with it. It's frustrating to watch that in real life too because like there's nothing you can do. You know it's not going to end well, like because they're dealing with a person that's like not a good person, but there's nothing you can do about it and you just have to let it play out. So that's what this was. I thought as frustrating as it was pretty realistic. I did really enjoy getting more of Selena and Sam in this book. I keep wanting to call it this episode because it feels like these little stories feel like a little episode, just a little installment in this overarching story. Which, of course, I wanted to see more of Selena and Sam. They finally admit that they have feelings for each other, and it's implied that they have sex. I don't know for... it's... Oh, God, they were in the gross sewer, though. Can you imagine, like, the kind of antibiotics you would need? Oh, God, I don't want to think about that. But it's implied, but it's not clear. Because, like, literally before this, like, before that moment, Selena had never even kissed a guy before. So it's kind of like 0 to 100, I guess, if that's really what happened in that sewer. Not to mention, like... Oh God, the E. coli and all kinds of nasty stuff happening in that sewer. I don't want to think about it. Like, that's not sanitary. Basically, this story actually did have me really emotionally invested in it. I felt myself getting like tense at certain parts. Like at one point, Selena was in the sewer system. This is before the time in the sewer system when she and Sam apparently maybe hooked up. Again, we spent a lot of time in the sewer system. I understand why it was called the underworld. So, like, she almost died in the sewer at one point, and I was like, oh God, oh God. At that moment, because, like, the chapter ends with her, like, going under the water. At that point, I thought, oh, are we gonna go, like, is she gonna die momentarily and we're gonna, like, go into the underworld with her? That would have been fucking cool. But no, that's not what happened. Like, Sam saved her, and, like, that was good. It was very emotional. Like, you see more of her strong facade going away, I think, as she starts making genuine connections with people. Obviously, like, this really strong, like, I'm the best in the world and I don't need anybody, and, like, I am an assassin that is, you know, I only rely on myself and I trust no one. All of that, I think, is slowly going away as she is able to make connections with people. So I'm hoping that we get to see more, because, like, she's so much more likable when she's not just self-obsessed. And she still is at this point. She obsesses about, like, her clothes and her makeup and her jewelry and all these things. But, like, it's a lot less than what we started out with in the first story. So she's a lot more likable at this point. She seems to be, like, thinking about others at this point. She went so far as to, she used the gold that the Silent Master in the desert gave her, because when she had saved his life in the desert from the attack, the master gave her like 3 chests of gold and told her, you know, hey, you can buy your freedom with this, because she's an indentured servant to A. Robin. So she not only used that gold to buy her own freedom, and we end the story with her having like her own little apartment. She's moved out of A. Robin's keep and into her own little apartment. But she used the money that she got from this job with the Underground Railroad, like to take out the Underground Railroad guy. She used the money from that to free Sam too. So, I mean, she's starting to think of others, you know, and not just so focused on getting wealth and notoriety and, you know, all of these like selfish, superficial things. Hey, don't get me wrong, like, wealth is good, but again, I think I've said it before. I think I said it in maybe the last video, like, there's more to life than that. Like, yes, money is important to have, clearly, like, in the world that we exist in, like, to buy like food and shelter and all these things, but like human connection is really significant. And I'm glad that she's recognizing that. Sam has also moved out with her, which I thought was awesome. She didn't leave him behind. And I hope, oh God, they're very, they're very much an odd couple. Like, Sam seems like a genuinely nice dude, and I totally see, like, she is so nasty to him. And I'm like, oh God, now I have to worry about which one of them is, like, first Selena was in an abusive relationship with A. Robin where he was abusing her. Now Selena and Sam are in a relationship, and I'm kind of worried she's gonna be the abusive one to him, but, like, I guess we'll see. It's not unheard of, right, for the abused to become the abuser, like cycle abuse, all of that. But God, I hope not. Sam seems like such a nice guy, and they're very much like an odd couple situation at this point. But I'll be interested to see what plays out in the 5th book. I also have to say, like, just the extra scumbag, like, the extra scumbag cherry on top of the scumbag sundae that is A. Robin. Like, he paid for, like, to take that girl's virginity that Selena hated. He paid to, like, he bid to get Lysandra's virginity knowing that, like, Selena couldn't stand her. And also, this dude is, like, in his mid-30s. Lysandra's, like, 17. Like, that's gross. I don't care who you are. That's nasty. So, like, ew. Just an overall scumbag. This is definitely not, like, a Snape situation. I feel at this point like there's not really a path for A. Robin to come back from being just, like, a horrible person. I feel like I'm very solidly in the camp that he is a horrible person. I mean, I never say never, but I can't imagine what it would take for me to change my opinion and think he's not just, like, a really awful, gross person. So I'll be interested to see what the next book is. It's The Assassin and the Empire. I know, like, in this story, with the job that she took, trying to take out this this Underground Railroad guy, what she thought was going to happen, she thought that this guy was working to, at the king's behest, who BT dubs, the king sounds like a real dirtbag too, but we haven't met him yet. I've only heard, like, snippets about some of the things that he are part of his platform, shall we say, his political platform. So this dude that she took out with the Underground Railroad, well, she was told this guy was trying to dismantle an underground railroad because he wanted to set up a slave trade between his city and Rifthold, and that the king was, like, down with that and all of these things. And now she, of course, finds out she took out a guy who was trying to set up the Underground Railroad. King is obviously very pro-slavery. He's working with, you know, the people that double-crossed Selena about all of this. And so I'm wondering if since it's called The Assassin and the Empire for the last story in this book, if that's actually going to be her, like, confronting the king in some way, because she clearly feels very passionately about the slave trade. This is one of the things that, like, breaks through her very defensive emotional walls that she has up. So I'm wondering if maybe it's going to be about actually going in to deal with the king about all of this, or something like that. I'm really surprised, actually, that she stayed in the Empire at all. Like, she got an apartment there. God, my hair is doing some crazy things because, like, it's so early and I just put it up, and Oh God. All right. Anyway, I'm surprised she stayed in the Empire at all. Like, got an apartment there and didn't just leave. Like, either go to another city or go back to the desert with the silent assassins. She seemed to really um, do well there and appreciated like the community that was there for her. But we'll see. She's young. We got a lot. We got like what, 7 books left. There's a lot of time for her to change her mind. I am at this point like I'm invested in what's going to happen. I really need this book to be over so I can Google like how to pronounce her name and hopefully like just from the book, and hopefully there won't be a bunch of spoilers for the rest of the series. Because it still doesn't roll off the tongue. Selena, just the way it's spelled. It's a small thing to get hung up on, but my brain, like every time I see it, my brain just kind of like blip, 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 like every single time. Anyway, I'm gonna try to finish this today. I've got to go work out. I've got a couple of appointments this morning. I'm gonna try to finish this. The last story is, I think it's like 100 pages or so. So I'm gonna try to finish that and then give like my final thoughts on this book. But I am pretty invested. I am pretty interested to see what happens in like the first Throne of Glass book. So I mean, kudos. This author has done well in getting me drawn in, because I started out the first book, found the names kind of ridiculous, found the character's attitude pretty ridiculous. The writing left a lot to be desired. But again, I feel like this author's writing just keeps improving. So it's good. I'm happy, because it's hard for me to deal with a book that the writing is not good. So anyway, I am going to go and hopefully be back like this afternoon to do my final thoughts on this book. But I mean, unless she really bungles the last story, I have a very good feeling about what's about to happen. So I'll be back with my thoughts on book number 5. All right, as promised, here I am at the end, Erica. I'm back. So I did finish this morning. I finished the final book in The Assassin's Blade, the novellas. The final one was The Assassin and the Empire. I loved and hated this last novella. I thought that it was well written and it triggered my feelings. Like, I was so upset at Sam dying, but I'm like, his death seemed inevitable. Like, I just knew, man, as soon as this job was offered to like take out, you know, the biggest crime lord and his enforcer in Rifthold, I'm like, and then Sam insisting that he take out like the sadistic one himself, I'm like, well, this kid is gonna die. He just will. And then A. Robin, which I still gotta look up, I promise. Now that I've finished the first book, I promise I will Google how to pronounce these names, because I don't want to sound like an asshole through the whole series. But anyway, I knew that like as soon as A. Robin came in, I'm like, okay, he's got something to do with this, because like he's trying to insist that I found even his okay. Let me try to speak a full sentence here. I had a lot of emotions and thoughts and feelings, all these things, so they're all just like trying to get out at once. Okay. So A. Robin was what happened in this book, if maybe it's been a while since you've read it. So Selena and Sam are living in their own apartment. They decide to leave the guild. Like, they've already paid for their freedom, but they're not out of the guild yet. So like, A. Robin is still their boss. He just doesn't own them. But they still have to pay money to be part of the guild. So they want to completely get away from that. They don't want anything to do with him anymore. And like, really, who can blame them? So they decide, okay, we're going to make some money, pay off like our parting fee, and then we're gonna like GTFO this continent and we'll just go somewhere else. Well, I was gonna say at that point, they're gonna stay on the continent. It doesn't matter. They're gonna get out of Rifthold. They don't want anything to do with A. Robin anymore. So they go to A. Robin and they tell him, look, dude, we don't want to be part of your group anymore, so we're going to give you money and you're going to leave us alone. And he's very snooty about it, but he agrees to like a ridiculous amount of money. I thought it was interesting. She doesn't say how much money. Maybe at this point she didn't know like what her money system was going to be as far as valuation. I don't know. That's my finance mind, I think, maybe overthinking this, but she didn't mention any sums. She very strategically omitted that from the conversation, but it was like implied. Whatever, I just thought it was kind of weird that she didn't say how much it was, but it was a lot of money, and it would be like everything that Selena had in savings, but she agreed to it because she just wants to like be done with this guy because like he's an asshole. So then she and Sam leave, and they are like, okay, that's gonna be all of our money. We need money so that like after we pay this guy, we can actually have the funds to move. So Sam decides to take a job that apparently the person or the people who are hiring for it, they don't want to go to the Assassin's Guild with it for some reason. So it's never actually explained how Sam, like how this all came about for them to get connected. But the implication at the end is that A. Robin was behind the masterminding of it. But anyway, so they want to take out this crime boss, like the biggest crime boss. The person that is hiring Sam wants to take out the biggest crime boss in Rifthold. So Sam agrees to do the job. He persuades Selena. She's initially against it. And then, like, this is super hush-hush. Somehow A. Robin finds out about it because, like, of course he does. Like, he shows up at their apartment and is, like, trying to persuade them out of the, you know, trying to persuade Selena out of the goodness of his heart because he cares about her so much. All of this in quotes. Not enough air quotes in the world for this manipulative guy. He's trying to convince her not to do this job, like it's so dangerous, he cares so much, even he would never do this job. And to her credit, she tells him to get the hell out of her house, which he does. Sam and Selena end up going through, like they're following the two guys that they're going to take out as part of this job. Sam wants to do one of them by himself, and then Selena will do the other by herself. Selena's not really comfortable with this, but since it's Sam's job that he found, she agrees to it. So Sam goes out to do his part of the job, and he doesn't come back when he was supposed to. So Selena starts getting stressed out. She goes around the city trying to find him. She can't find him. It's hours and hours. And then something like 14 hours later, she comes home after looking for him, and A. Robin is in her home and basically tells her, like, sorry, something happened to Sam. So she has to go and see, just to be sure, like she wants to see Sam for herself to make sure like this is not another game from A. Robin, and indeed it is not. He's been like tortured. He's dead. I don't know how the author could come back from this without bringing in some kind of like magic. He is very solidly dead. So, unfortunately, I was so upset, even though I saw it coming. Like, I really liked Sam. I really liked him. And they just took him out. Oh God. Oh God. Okay. So then Selena, very predictably, like, she freaks out and she goes to seek vengeance. Even though, like, I don't know, to me, clearly it was a trap. After she sees Sam's body, he's being kept in the Assassin's Keep, which is where, you know, it's A. Robin's home. So she's so distraught that they take her to her old bedroom in the Keep and they lock her in. And then, coincidentally, she hears outside her door while she's locked in her room by herself. She hears outside her door the voice of two other assassins and A. Robin having a heated discussion about how they're going to get revenge on the people that did this to Sam. And, oh, we can't let Selena be part of it. And like, oh, this is our exact plan, our exact time, and what we're gonna do, and like, what the surrounding area is like, and what the best way to come at this house that we have to go into would be, all outside of her bedroom door in this mansion. When like, they could have had this conversation anywhere. I assume there's like a couple dozen other rooms. There's other grounds they could go to. Go to the yard. They could go outside. Go to the porch. Why are you going to have this conversation right outside the room of the one person you do not want to know about what you're gonna do because you claim you don't want them to like seek vengeance? Okay. But Selena, either because she's 17 or because she's distraught, she doesn't think about this. You know, even though she knows A. Robin is clearly like a liar, super manipulative, she's not thinking about this for whatever reason. So she sneaks out of her room. She goes to this house to get revenge. Of course it's a trap. I mean, of course it's a trap. Even A. Robin's bodyguard tries to warn her not to go, tries to warn her that it's a trap. And she's like, no, I'm just gonna knock you unconscious instead of like listening to your warning. Which she does. Like, she uses the... That's what that hand gesture was. She uses like the end of her her sword handle to like hit him on the head and knock him out. That's what that was. Anyway, and so it's a trap. She goes into this house. They're all waiting for her. She takes out a bunch of dudes, but like they have some kind of a gas that like will paralyze you that they use on her, and so they take her prisoner. They end up sending her to the king's dungeon. She has like a formal trial. Well, I say formal trial because like it's a joke. You know, she was of course always going to be found guilty of anything. And instead of being sentenced to death, which she thought she was going to be, the king decides to sentence her to the salt mines, which it sounds like is a death camp, which she was not expecting. And we leave the story, like the final novella, I assume before Throne. I keep wanting to say Game of Thrones because anything with throne in it, I immediately think Game of Thrones, but no, it's Throne of Glass. We leave Selena after her journey as a prisoner to arrive at the salt mines, and like the book ends right as she gets to the salt mines. So I assume, I don't know, I would say based on how these novellas are, maybe we do pick up right away at the salt mines, but like I hope not. She really needs to be aged up a little bit. She needs I think it would really benefit from getting a perspective of her being older and like the presumably whatever like fresh hell is waiting for her at these salt mines. But I don't know. I will have to wait until the Throne of Glass book to find that out. I can't emphasize enough how disappointed I was to see Sam go. Like, he was such a likable character, and this was such an obvious trap. And like, why? I know they're young. That's what I have to keep reminding myself. These characters are very young. They think they're invincible, and they just don't. You know, they've been manipulated by a Robin for years and years, and it's hard to break that cycle, and it's hard to jump to that conclusion that like this person that's been abusing you and manipulating you for years maybe doesn't have your best interest at heart. Maybe he's like not your friend. That's how I feel about that. A Robin, kind of like a prologue scene that we see with him is him meeting with, so the two guys that they were contracted to take out, Selena and Sam, one of them was the crime boss, which Selena did manage to take him out after she walked into that trap. She did manage to take out the crime boss while she's fighting all the other like bodyguards. But the other dude, like his right-hand man, she wasn't able to take him out. So the prologue scene that we see with A Robin, and the second hand dude? No. The right-hand man, they're like meeting, and it sounds like, I definitely got the impression that A Robin orchestrated a lot of this. Obviously at the very least, he orchestrated the trap that was waiting for Selena. I assume that if nothing else, he warned them ahead of time that Sam was coming, to do the job. I assume that's how they found out. It's also interesting, it sounds like part of the original plan was for A Robin to rescue Selena after walking into that trap, and like she went to the dungeons. It sounds like the plan was for A Robin intending to rescue her after that, but he changed his mind because he is petty and just like a generally awful person. So yeah, let her just go be sentenced to this death camp. I really liked this book. Like I really liked this book. I will definitely be continuing to Throne of Glass. I'm not going to continue to it right away because there are a couple of books that I want to read first. A couple of final things that I did want to mention about this last novella, and then I'll give like my final thoughts on this book as a whole. So we leave now with Selena at the salt mines, which sounds like it's close to her home, like where she was originally from. And I hope that we get to see or hear more about her life before whatever happened to make A Robin like take her in, because it sounds like her homeland was one that was filled with a lot of magic users, and once the king like took over and started conquering, it sounds like he outlawed magic. Like magic, the use of magic is banned. And so I'm curious if I guess I'm curious to see like if that means that Selena has some dormant magic coming from a region filled with magic users, or I guess it kind of ties back to like the second story, right? Where I speculated if maybe she had something going on with like healing, like a healing background. So yeah, I'll be interested to see that. I just want to know more. Like, she's built such a good universe. I'm interested in seeing more. The second thing I wanted to mention after like about this fifth book, which of course is like the most important thing, turns out Selena and Sam did not have sex in the sewer in the fourth novella. So thank God, because I don't think that they had like amoxicillin whenever this book or wherever this book takes place. And I don't want to know the kind of nasty things that would be just waiting to infect you in that sewer if you're gonna start getting down and dirty in it. Nope. So they didn't. Thank God. We can all rest easy. Sounds like they just made out, like a lot, in the sewer. Which, yeah, it's pretty gross, but it's like way less gross than what I thought happened in that sewer. My final thoughts on this book as a whole, I really enjoyed it. I thought the writing got better as it went on, like notably better with each story. That's why, again, I'm gonna have to research like the timeline for, I'm so curious, the timeline of when Sarah J Maas wrote this, because there's like a marked improvement among each story. So I'm curious like how long was between each story. Like how long did she wait to write each one? So by the end, I really liked it. You know, I can forgive like the clunky writing at the beginning because it did get into just really interesting plot lines, some really good world building. Like I am left so curious about the universe that they're in, the possibilities that are there. I want to know more about like everyone's background, everyone's capabilities. Like I feel like I know Selena pretty well at this point after seeing her go through these few months of like really significant experiences. You know, that's the thing too, like as a character, she, like this book takes place over, it's like less than 6 months, right? Like by a lot, it's quite a bit less than 6 months. And she goes through like significant life events and significant losses. And I mean, she's only 16 and 17 when these things are happening. Like this is developmentally going to be like huge for her as a character, which goes into like, that's one of the reasons I really hope that the author ages her up for the rest of the series, because I want to see how these experiences molded her as an adult. Because this is all, I mean, like it would be devastating. These things would be devastating to anyone. And she had, I mean, she's already had a really unfortunate, manipulative life. Like she's been the one who has been manipulated by A. Robin, right? And like abused by him. So she was already going into it like having a bad time. She had a traumatic childhood, all these things. And then you add on to like, she finally makes a real friend, and her real friend turns out to be just like double crossing and lying. She finally finds someone who actually like loves and cares about her. He's dead now. And now she's lost her entire life and is headed off to a prison death camp. So, I mean, all like just a giant mountain of suitcases of trauma. Just all the trauma just packed right in there to one character. So I feel I'm very interested to see what's going to happen next with her. I hope we don't pick up right away. I hope that there's some time between when this last novella ends and when Throne of Glass picks up. I hope there's some time, like some years of time, to be honest. Or if there's not, then maybe give me like give me just a little bit, like one little chapter to tell me like what's happening right now, and then jump ahead like, I don't know, at least 5 years ahead, and let me see what's going on at that point. God, I just realized, did I say prologue earlier when I was talking about A. Robin and that right-hand man? Because I totally meant epilogue. Pretend like I mean, when I'm editing, I'll try to remember to correct it at that point, because I don't know what I was thinking. I'm having kind of a weird day here. Yes, I meant epilogue at that point when A. Robin and that second in command guy were talking. My last thought about this was, of course, about Selena. She became a lot more likable over the course of this book, and I mean, it's just a few months in the timeline of the story, but since so many things that are significant happen in that time, I think it really changed her. A lot of the ways that she thinks about things and what she is open to. But she just became a lot more likable, which I think I've said through probably each time that I've finished one of these novellas. I am really interested to know, like, as she develops now, because she's been for so long she's been like emotionally cut off and, using that as a defense, understandably so. I mean, she's had a lot of trauma. But now that she's discovered what it's like to have a friend and have someone who loves her and have like people who care about her, like in the Silent Assassins, I'm curious now that she's being sent to this prison camp. Is she going to default back to her defense mechanisms of just being super hardened, or are we going to see growth in a different way? I mean, it could go either way, right? Like, she could default back to what she knows, what she feels has worked for her, and just be like stone face, pretend like she doesn't care about anything or anybody, and maybe genuinely not really care about anybody. It just as a means of self-preservation. Like, that's totally a realistic outcome here. But I don't know, since this is a series of novels, I'm going to give the author the benefit of the doubt and say that she's not going to take Selena that way, because that's like a way less interesting story, right? Than to see the character growth of moving beyond those old defense mechanisms, right? And growing beyond them and learning how to cope in better ways. So that was my thoughts and my feelings on the first book in the Throne of Glass series. I do have to say I was pleasantly surprised. I've kind of been skeptical. Usually when something is hyped like this, it's a letdown so many times for me to go in and check something out, whether that be a book or movies or whatever, when it's so hyped. Like, I'm invariably let down because it's like never as good as people make it out to be. I think if the rest of the series holds up like the last couple of novellas did, then I do think Throne of Glass meets the hype that it gets. And if it stays like this and interesting like this, I can see why this author is like, her work is everywhere. I can't go anywhere without seeing mention of Sarah J Maas when it comes to books. So I have high hopes for the rest of the series. I hope that it will be one of the rare situations where it actually does live up to its reputation of being a really quality and entertaining series. And I have to say, man, if Sam is really dead, I appreciate that this author is not scared to take out a liked character. And I hope that she continues to not be afraid to do that. Like, it's emotionally, it gets me like right in my heart, like right here. But it's such a good storytelling approach, like, because that means there are stakes involved. Like, there are stakes involved if you know that this author is willing to kill off people you like. Then it's like, you're actually unsettled. Like, what is going to happen? I don't know. Maybe not everybody's making it out of this. And it's way better storytelling to approach it like that than where, everything is safe and like nobody of consequence, you know, ends up being taken out of the story or anything. Everybody that's important makes it out okay. Like, I guess that's not awful, but like, it's safe. It's safe storytelling. It's not exciting. It's not as good a quality because you don't get as invested, because there's not as much on the line, right? That was one, I mean, I keep going back to that's one of the things I loved about Game of Thrones, like, and I did watch the first, like, I watched the first season when it initially aired, and I loved it so much, I immediately went to, like, I'm like, I gotta get this book. So I did. That was one of the first, that was, I don't know, that's the one that sticks out to me where, man, I guess, spoiler for Game of Thrones, if you don't want to hear this, maybe skip over the next, like, 30 seconds, but that first season, at the end, when they took out Ned Stark, I was like, because 99% of the time, writers in a book or movie will play it safe. They might lead you right up to that line where you think something's gonna happen, but something at the last second saves the day, and that character that you really care about is okay. But that's not what happened, is it? No, we know it is not in that first season at the end, and when nothing actually stopped it, and I was just like, literally, that was my face. And that's what I want. It's such better, like, it's emotional and it's upsetting in the moment, but like, it's such good storytelling when you have a writer that is willing to just, you don't know what they're gonna do. Nobody is safe. They're here to tell a story and you are just gonna sit down and listen, and the game is on, the dice are rolling, okay? We don't know what's gonna happen. Anything could happen. I really hope it's that kind of a story, the rest of this series, because I'm like hella excited for it, if that's what it's gonna be. I do have the rest of the series right here. So I've got Throne of Glass. I might read it. I'm not sure when I'm gonna start it. I might start this one by the end of the month. I have to see. There's a few larger books that I want to read in March, so I'm gonna see how that works out, but this is going to be very quick on my radar because I'll be honest, I need to see what happens. Like, I need to see what happens next. Like, I have to. And the whole series is right here. Do you hear that, George R.R. Martin? The whole series of someone else's series is out. Do you wonder what that feels like? Maybe you should think about how that might feel getting a series completed. Maybe it would feel really good, you know? Maybe you should talk to Sarah J Maas, George R.R. Martin, and maybe ask her how it feels to have a series completed and have people like super hyped about a completed series. I'm just saying. All right, that's my thoughts on the first book in the Throne of Glass series. I recommend that you pick it up if you like fantasy. I think that you will not be disappointed. I would recommend, though, give it a chance because the first two novellas, like I said, the writing was kind of rough in them, but then, the plot really picks up steam, and I think the author got more comfortable writing in this world and writing the character, and it becomes better as it goes on. So that's my thoughts. What are your thoughts? Have you read this book did you read it in chronological order like I am, or did you wait? I think it's like reading it in like the third or fourth order instead. I'm curious because I'm thinking that I might, even though I've read it first, I might read the others and then go back and read this again, like between the other books that are like I think it's between like the third and fourth books when you can read it. That's like the two ways to read the novellas. I don't know. I might do that. So apparently it's emotionally impactful to read these novellas at that point. we'll see. It was a fast read, so I might end up doing that just as a refresher to get some more like emotional feeling. Oh God, I was so upset at Sam. I can't believe it, but like I can believe it. But I can believe it because it was foreshadowed pretty well, but I kind of can't believe it because like it's so rare that an author will take out your favorite character and just be like, deal with it. This character's dead now, you deal with it. So good for you. Good for you, Sarah J Maas, for having the courage to take out a really likable character. Anyway, let me know your thoughts. I really want to thank you so much for watching. I know this is a longer video and it was just a reading vlog about one book, but I really enjoy doing it. I'm kind of looking forward to doing more like this. I think I'm gonna find some other series maybe to do this with. Besides, I keep wanting to call it Game of Thrones, besides Throne of Glass. Anyway, thanks so much for stopping by, for watching. Please remember to like this video and subscribe to my channel. We'll see you next time. Thanks.